And welcome to Sportz Night. Da-da-da-da-da, Sportz Night.
All right, thank you for tuning in. This is Sportz Night. I'm your host, Zander. Thank you. Welcome to wherever you are, and thanks for tuning in. We have a tremendous show for you tonight. We've been working around the clock to bring you the bestest in sports news there is. So if you like sports and you have low standards, or you live in Van Nuys, you've tuned into the right show. We're coming to you from our brand new studio. Now let me introduce you to my ever-diligent sidekick, Mr. Ted Reis. I welcome you.
Xander, I've been here the entire time. Yeah, and I also live in Van Nuys, by the way.
Great. So this is the show for you then.
Yeah, thank you for having me. You know, how was your weekend?
It was terrific. A lot of low-key excitement. I watched the All-Star game.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. That was a lot of fun. It was like a pickup game. Actually, it was more kind of like a woman that took on a vow of celibacy. No D.
Wow. Yeah, I watched the three-point competition. Klay Thompson took on the...
Klay Thompson won last year. It was Steph Curry, so now that title stays amidst the Splash Brothers.
That's right, the Splash Brothers. That sounds like a porno production company.
And yet no porn is ever produced.
Yeah, but there's always a money shot. Hey-o. All right, here's some headlines for your face.
Headlines for your face.
Cleveland Browns are cutting ties with Johnny Manziel because they're tired of his off-field antics. A representative from the Browns said Manziel's deplorable behavior at the Planet Hollywood Casino in Las Vegas were ungodly and were no way representative of what the Cleveland Browns pride themselves on.
Jesus, what was he doing?
Winning.
Injuries in the NFL were at an all-time high this season. If it felt there were more injuries every game, that's because there were. The Houston Texans, in fact, had so many injuries to their quarterbacks that they called me to suit up. Sorry, Texans. I had shit to do.
No free time. You can tell how bad an injury is by the hierarchy of what happens on the field.
Right.
If the player walks off on his own, he's good. Helped off by players, he's probably going to miss a few games.
Right.
If a stretcher comes out, he's done for the season.
Yeah.
You see an ambulance on the field, career is over. Last season, a Vikings player was just set on fire and burned for 20 minutes in a funeral pyre.
Oh. Well, at least he'll be with his fellow Vikings in Valhalla. You know, last season in Cleveland, at the end of the year, a hearse came out in the middle of the field and the entire team got in.
Wow. 2 Cleveland jokes.
Actually, technically 3.
What was the third?
Their season.
Right. Yeah. Mets relief pitcher Henry Mejia made baseball history last week when he became the first major league player ever to be banned for life for PED use. Mejia failed 3 tests for illegal substances in the last year. When asked why he continued to use PEDs after failing 2 initial tests, Mejia said, "I didn't know they were testing my pee for anything. I just figured, you know, it's the New York Mets. They're probably using it to wash down the stadium in between games."
Gross.
Yeah.
Gross. LeBron James just passed Kobe Bryant as the NBA's all-time leading All-Star game scorer. Bryant congratulated James and then said, well, yeah, big deal, but he still has to live in Cleveland.
4 Cleveland jokes in one sitting, and it still doesn't feel like enough.
Never enough for Cleveland.
All right. Speaking of the NBA, the Warriors are still hot. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are taking down more threes than I strike out with at the bar.
Awkward. A couple weeks after the Super Bowl, and old allegations of sexual assault are continuing to resurface about Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was quoted as saying, "These allegations make me sick." His doctor was quoted as saying, "That might be from all the Papa John's pizza."
Wow, that sounds so good right now.
Papa John's?
No, sexual allegations.
Indeed.
Yes. College football coach Jim Harbaugh is coming under some scrutiny for his use of the University of Michigan's private jet on his recruitment trips. Wait. The University of Michigan has a private jet? My college didn't even have the internet.
That's because you went to college in Cleveland.
Too much.
Yeah, sorry.
You have to draw a line.
Yeah, that was too far, sorry.
Harbaugh's use of the plane in the last couple of months has added up to $10,000 a day, which is almost what they were paying their players illegally. Jim stated in his defense the only other option was taking the Wolverine bus.
I love that thing. It's so fun. Harbaugh's travels began to garner closer examination when it was revealed that his recruiting stops included St. Thomas, Bora Bora, and the island of Kauai.
Another tip-off was when Harbaugh stopped at Walmart to pick up khakis and Tommy Bahamas. I love those shirts.
Oh yeah, don't forget your Zubaz pants.
Those are fun.
Gotta have those Zubaz.
Weekly fantasy football betting sites FanDuel and DraftKings are catching flack again, being accused of corruption and law breaking. Their owner insists that the sites are not for gambling and are purely for fun.
But this leads us to a serious question. Is fantasy sports betting legal? With the massive success of these websites, it was only a matter of time before Washington took notice.
New York's Attorney General Eric T. Schneiderman is debating legal action on these new companies. Here to shed light on this, we go to our Mexican field correspondent, David Martinez, who has the latest.
Well, Xander, I'm down at the local soup kitchen,
Oh, so you're there to prove that these sites like FanDuel can take a real toll on the average gambleaholic.
Something like that.
Is everything okay?
It's not okay, Zander. Thanks, Obama.
So fantasy sports.
Yes. Well, in researching the legalities of online sports betting, I revealed a seedy underground, a world that forced me to bet my 401k on the Tampa Bay Rays to win the Super Bowling for Columbine.
There was nothing accurate about that last statement.
Exactly, Zander. And that's when I realized I know nothing about sports debates. And that's when the trouble began.
Fantasy sports betting is legal because it claims to be a game of skill, so I decided to put it to the test. It sounds great at first. Fantasy sports betting. Ah, the fantasy. Betting without the hassle of smelly racetracks, the lure of Las Vegas buffets and hookers. It takes the unnecessary danger out of gambling. And it all starts in the cozy confines of your living room. They make it easy to set up a profile, connect to your bank account or the bank account of a spouse, and start betting. That was easy. Within seconds, you're picking parlays and doubling down on March Madness. And with their handy mobile app, you can literally FanDuel anywhere. Before you sleep, driving to work, walking your dog. But is it legal? Eating your lunch? At the park? At a Starbucks? But is it on a bus? Public bathrooms? My wife left me. But is on the street? The library has computers? But pawn shop? At the office? It's where I sleep.
And that's what these sites prey on. Innocent people such as myself who pour all of our time and effort into these unscrupulous gambling sites.
So I'm confused, David. Did you get to the bottom of these sites? Did you contact FanDuel or DraftKings or anyone for a response?
Absolutely, Zander. I emailed info@fanduel.com. Turns out my email has been flagged as one of those that's used in the black market to smuggle small animals.
Wait, what small animals?
Never mind. I don't want to know.
What I do know is that these websites prey on guys like me who had issues in the past with addiction. You know what I mean, right, Zander?
Addiction? What?
Exactly, Zander. And I'm not sure if you've noticed, I've been living in my office at the studio.
We have noticed.
Yeah, you don't have an office here.
Back to you, Zander.
No, don't throw it back to me. I tell you when the report is done. Did you attend the council meeting with Attorney General Eric Schneiderman?
I didn't have time, but what I did have time to do was bet this one homeless guy, this single croc with a K, that I could drink a whole jug of milk without puking.
Oh,
yeah.
David, by the looks of that and the way it seems to smell, I don't think that's milk. Okay, great. Thanks, David. And that's what we're calling reporting these days.
I guess.
I think that's all the sports news we have. Ted, anything?
Yeah, KFC changes their spokesperson more often than the Cleveland Browns win.
We always like to end on a Cleveland joke.
They can't lose.
For Mexican David and Mr. Ted Reis, I'm Zander Schaus, and you just watched Sports Night, in case you forgot. Good night.
Sports night, da, 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 da. Sports.